Hey guys, so on the screen here, you'll see yesterday's class activity. Again, this did become your guys' homework if you didn't finish. What I want you guys to do is pause the video here, double check your work before moving on to today's lesson. All right, so today we're going to continue with compound inequalities, and again, this is day 2. So yesterday we talked about compound inequalities. Whoops, let me go back. Yesterday we talked about compound inequalities. Again, compound is a fancy way to just basically say that we're looking at two or more inequalities. Specifically, yesterday we were looking at two constraints. What I want to do today is focus today on the or type. So yesterday we focused on and, today we're going to focus on or. Make sure you guys copy this title, copy your essential question. Again, this should be Cornell note format. Same expectations apply. All right, so here's a few of the vocab you might need to pause this video throughout. So again, whenever you need to, pause, rewind. So let's start off with a few vocab here. So a compound statement, all right, just as I mentioned, is formed by combining two or more simple statements. Yesterday, again, we only focused on two, and we focused on the and type of statements. And again, in order for an and type of statement to be true, that means that both simple statements that I'm looking at have to be true. And I'll show you guys an example review before we move on. Today's lesson is on compound statements involving the word or here. And again, these are true when either one simple statement or both are true. All right, so let's move on. Like I said, if you guys need to pause the video throughout, you're more than welcome to. I'll tell you specific spots to pause. All right, so this is what we talked about yesterday. These are two examples. I do want you guys to pause the video here, try these two problems out, and then as soon as you finish, play the video through, see if you got the right answer, follow my work through. All right. Okay, so let's take a look at number one. And again, we saw this yesterday, that basically here I have two inequalities. Basically I have two problems connected in one. So what I have to do first is I have to break these apart. Okay, when I break these apart, I'm going to get 4 is less than or equal to x plus 2. And I'm also going to get x plus 2 is less than or equal to 8. All right, so here we have our two inequalities, or two problems that I have to solve. Now the way that I solve, let me use a different color here. The way I solve the one on the left is I have to say inverse operation of plus 2 is minus 2. So minus 2 from both sides. 4 minus 2 gives 2. 2 is less than or equal to x. I've solved the first one. Now I also have to solve, and let me bring down my and I also have to solve the second one. So we also say minus 2 to both sides. 2's cancel out. And I'm going to be left with x is less than or equal to 8 minus 2 is 6. All right, and if you can remember yesterday, again, this is an and type of problem. So in order for my solutions, they have to satisfy both of these constraints. So x has to be on the bigger side or equal to 2, and also x has to be on the smaller side here, less than or equal to 6. And again, I do want to rejoin these, so I'm going to have 2 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 6. All right. Now again, that was my solution. That's what I had you guys box in, but I also want to represent this on a number line. All right, so what I want to do real quick is draw my number line. Okay, here is 0, here is positive 2, here is positive 6. All right, so let's take a look at 2. X can equal 2 here, so I'm going to put a solid circle. All right, and I have to go to 6 here, and I have to be less than or equal to, so I'm also going to be a solid circle. Now, in order to satisfy these constraints, x has to live in between 2 and 6, so I need to connect my two values here. All right, that is my graph for the inequality here. And again, x has to satisfy both of these. X has to be greater than or equal to 2, and it also has to be less than or equal to 6. All right, similarly, let's move on to the one over here on the right. All right, and again, I want to begin by first breaking it apart. I get, break this apart correctly, negative 5 is less than or equal to 2x plus 3. And again, let me take the other part. That middle part is shared. 2x plus 3 is less, well, 3 is less than 9. Okay, now let's solve each one of these. I first begin by getting rid of my 3, so I say minus 3 to both sides here. Minus 3 minus 3. Now negative 5 minus 3 is negative 8. Negative 8 is less than or equal to 2x. All right, I have to do one more step here. I have to divide both sides by 2. When I divide both sides by 2, negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. Okay, less than or equal to x. And now I have to solve the second inequality over here. So again, I say minus 3 to both sides. Notice I'm still doing the same steps. 3's cancel out. I'm left with 2x is less than 9 minus 3, which is 6. Now I divide both sides by 2. X is going to be less than 3. So again, in order for my solutions to work, they have to satisfy both of these. X has to be greater than or equal to negative 4, and it also has to be less than 3. Let me recombine these here so I get negative 4 is less than or equal to x, and x is less than 3. All right, that is my solution. And again, I want to go ahead and represent this on a number line. All right, so here's my number line. Here is 0. I go all the way up to 3. I go down here to negative 4. At negative 4, if I take a look, I can actually equal it. So I'm going to put a solid circle there to represent that. All the way at 3, it's going to be open because, again, it's strictly less than. And again, my solutions are lying in between here. So again, x has to be somewhere in between here, my max and my min values. Again, this is what we practiced yesterday. These were the AND type of statements. In order for these to be true, it has to satisfy both of these constraints. Today's lesson is basically going to focus on the OR section. So again, we just finished reviewing and again, now we're going to get answers that look like the following. X is less than 2 or x is greater than 6. All right, so if you notice over here on the right hand side, they've actually graphed it. So again, if you take a look at x is less than 2, it's an open circle, and I'm going below towards the negative because x is less than, or x is greater than 6. So go here to 6. I can't equal it, so it's open circle, and I go towards the right. Now notice there's no overlapping. My answers are either going to be less than 2 here, or they're going to be greater than 6. There's no number that's going to be both less than 2 and greater than 6 at the same time. So again, in order to satisfy an OR statement, I'm one or the other. So that is the difference as opposed to an AND. Down here, very similarly, the only thing they changed is it's now equal to, so we get solid circles at both 2 and 6. All right, so let's jump into our very first OR problem, right? So I want to solve this, and I also want to graph. The nice thing about this, it's actually already split up. I just have to solve each individual one and take a look at them at the same time. Again, it is a compound inequality. So again, we're taking a look at both of these constraints at the same time. Now, how do I get rid of a negative 4? I say plus 4 to both sides here. Excuse my writing, it's very difficult to write on this computer. These cancel out. I have x is greater than 1 plus 4, which is 5. Or, if I scoot over here to the other side, the way I get rid of this negative 4 again is to say plus 4 to both sides. Plus 4 cancels out. I have x is less than negative 3 plus 4 is 1. Okay, so here are my two constraints. And again, I can't really join these. It's one or the other. So again, this would be my solution right there. What I want to do now is actually graph it. You'll see kind of what ends up happening in this case. Here is 0, here is 1, up here is 5. These are the numbers that I worry about really. So here, let's take a look at our first constraint. X is greater than 5. So I go to 5, and again, it's open circle because I'm not equal to it. I cannot stand there. And x is greater, so I'm going to go towards the positive side. So my arrow points in this direction. Now, if I take a look at the other one, or x is less than 1, I go to 1 here, and I can't equal it, so it's an open circle, but this time x is less than it, so again, I have to go towards the left. So again, a solution has to satisfy one or the other. Either it's greater than 5, and we're over here on the right-hand side, or I am less than 1, I'm on the left. So it's one or the other, as opposed to the AND types of problems where my solution lies in between. All right, what I want you guys to do is pause the video here. Okay, try this problem out, solve it, graph it, and then resume, and you'll see my solution here. All right, so for this problem here, what I have to do on the left side is I'm left with x. These cancel out. is less than or equal to 3. Or on the right hand side over here, divide both sides by 3. Okay, and so give me 1x is greater than 12 divided by 3, 4. Alright, again, my solution is right here. X is either less than or equal to 3, or x is greater than 4. Alright, now I want to graph this on number line. So here's my number line real quick. Here is 0. I'm worried about 3, and I'm worried about 4. Now at 3, I can actually equal it. It says x is less than or equal to, so go here. Equal to means solid circle, and less than means I'm going to go towards the negatives, all right, down in this direction. All right, now at 4, I'm greater, strictly greater, so I have to do an open circle, and x is greater, so I'm going to go towards the right-hand side over here. My solutions lie above. So again, it's either x is less than or equal to 3, or x is greater than 4. It's either one or the other. That would make this compound inequality true. Alright guys, same deal one more time. I want you guys to try both of these problems here again. I give you guys two. Pause the video, try them out, and again, resume as soon as you finish. See if you got the answers correct. I'll show you guys my solution. We'll go through it. So here we go. Alright guys, so I do have to kind of rush this one here because my time limit is coming to an end. If you guys take a look at the left one, get rid of minus 5, 5, 5, but on the left, x is greater than or equal to negative 5 is 3. Or I have to, on this side, add 5, add 5, negative 5, 5, and 1. X is less than or equal to, what would negative 6 plus 5 is negative 1. Alright, so those are my solutions. I'll quickly graph both of these on a number line. Alright, here is 0. I'm interested in positive 3, which is that on the right side. Negative 1 is a little closer, becomes 0. At 3, I can actually equal it, so solid circle. And x is greater than, so I go towards the right hand side of 3. Now, very similarly, I go here to negative 1. It is equal to, so again, solid circle one more time. But this time, x is less than or equal to, so I go towards the left. That is graphically representing my solutions. X is either below or equal to negative 1, or x is equal to 3 and above. All right, if we come over here to the right hand side, now I have a two-step equation here. So I have to say plus 1, negative 1, 1 cancel out. I have 4x is less than 1 plus 15, which is 16. I divide both sides by 4. Okay, and then 4 divided by 4 is 1. 1x is less than 16 divided by 4 is 4. Or over here, this one's not too bad. Divide both sides by 8. Okay, 8 cancel out. Give me 1x is greater than or equal to 48 divided by 8 is 6. All right, so I've solved here my solution. X is either less than 4 or x is greater than or equal to 6. Now let's quickly graph this. Okay, there's my number line. I'm here 0, interested in 4. I'm interested in 6. At 4, I have to be less than, so it's open. And less than means I go towards the left-hand side. Or x is going to be greater than or equal to, so a solid circle here. And because it's greater than or equal to 6, I go towards the positive section. All right. All right, guys, at this point, we're pretty much at the end of the video. Make sure that you guys do your reflections. So again, your summaries and your 3 questions on the left-hand side of your Cornell notes. Make sure you guys polish these up. There will be a notebook check tomorrow. So again, keep that in mind. Okay, as soon as you finish, you guys want to move on to the class activity. Again, you guys have 2 problems today. Make sure you guys copy this down. This does not go in your notes. Next clean sheet of paper, this is your homework if you do not finish it. All right. Make sure you guys ask me any questions if you get stuck. Since this is probably going to be on YouTube also, make sure you guys like, subscribe. I do makeup tutorials, I do daily vlogs, etc., etc. No, I'm kidding. Pause the video here because your homework will go away as soon as this video is over. Pause the video, pause the video, pause the video. So you guys get your homework done.